Hello, I'm Camille.
And I'm Gretchen. I'm just trying to cross my legs. Hang on.
Get comfortable, girl. We're here a few minutes.
Oh, welcome to Starting Over podcast. We're so happy that y'all are here.
Yeah.
In case you're just joining us for the very first time, we are two best friends in our 50s, and we like to just talk about things that most people
matter.
They
matter to us.
They matter to
That's
us,
right.
and we
That's
know that they matter to people, because it's life. We're talking about life.
Well, it's interesting because we've had different careers, but as a counselor, and then she's had this world of modeling and consulting and TV. I mean, you were a sportscaster. You were all these things. I've been behind the desk. This girl's been living the life, living in the front of the world. And I feel like we have come to a lot of the same conclusions about life and relationships and truth and what matters and integrity and all this stuff. We're the same age, but, she's a little older. Okay, she's a little older. But
I knew that was coming out.
But, we kind of combine our life experience, and we're both mamas. We both love people, and we want to make a contribution to this planet. So we kind of came to the same conclusions about our life and solutions to problems. So that's what we're doing here, is sharing our ways of starting over in our life, and that's what we call it, starting over.
And as Camille works with clients, I work with clients separately too. We always reiterate that we're never stuck, because at any moment we can start over.
Yes.
And starting over doesn't necessarily mean you're physically starting over something, but it definitely is in the mind shift and the mindset.
That's right.
So you never have to stay in a place where you're constantly thinking the same thing. I was just working with a client this morning, and this person kind of comes across like they've heard everything, they know everything. And yet, I was saying to this person, like, how's that working? Like, is everything going great?
Right? Because you're stuck.
Because what happens is we all get stuck into habits and patterns of thought.
Yes.
And so that's what's dictating what's happening in our life, is what we're thinking about. And we've gone over this so many different times, but really, y'all, it's a matter of things that subconsciously we have been programmed to think.
And they're running us. Our subconscious thoughts are running us. That's right.
So starting over is all about, like, okay, wait a second. I recognize that's a pattern of thought that I've been thinking for a long time, and man, it doesn't feel right.
Right.
It's not serving me.
No, that's right. Well, and today our topic is going to be on that. Do we have the autonomy really to start over, to quit what we're doing? And the autonomy is the freedom. When you give your word to something, when you marry someone, when you're in a relationship, there's expectations, and you set the expectations for each other, and usually things work out. But if it doesn't work out, when do you quit? When does a boundary violation happening over and over? When is that enough to say, I need to end this? And how do we do it?
And how do you do it? Because there has to come a place. There has to come a time. And we're certainly not saying go divorce your person or leave your family, but you still have to be able to maintain your sacred circle.
Yeah.
So in case you're like, what the hell's that? Your sacred circle is an imaginary circle you draw around you of your own protection, whether that's from people, situations, memories, whatever that is, that keeps you at a place that you feel safe.
And your sanity is,
and
self-caring, yeah.
And if you're in a relationship, let's just say, and again, this could be mom, dad, kids, siblings, boss, whatever, it doesn't matter. You still get to decide how much of that is going to affect me, and especially people that like to control other people.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, for sure. Well, and I notice this with covert narcissist. And the covert narcissist is someone who's, playing nice, but they typically are doing everything for their self-motivation. But they look good doing it, right? But if you're in a relationship or you're having a negative experience with a boss or a business partner, etc., and they keep violating your space, or they keep violating you, or they break their word constantly, when is it time for you to say, I call it quits? And I don't think you just leave that with, I'm done, this is over. But you have to, broach the subject of, we have a promise, and there usually has to be an agreement for a relationship to take off. Mm-hmm. But in the world of relationships, there has to be give and take. You have to have reciprocity. And if you don't have that, and you're always one giving or taking,
right.
The takers don't have a problem with this.
No.
The takers have no problem with this.
It's working really well for them.
That's exactly right. Yeah,
but how many, and I can speak this way because we're women.
Yeah.
How many women out there just continue to give and give and give and give and give?
Yeah.
I'm going to switch it over to the men in just a second. whether that is, they're volunteering for everything they can with their kids' activities or their kids' school or their church or their community, and they're just giving, but deep down inside, they're like, I'm exhausted and I don't have any reservoirs for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
On the same note with men, you see men in business just doing, working late, going in early, doing all of that. Where's their reservoir?
Yeah.
So to understand your own boundaries, or what's the word you use? I liked your word better.
I'm not sure. I can't remember.
Just your own
terms.
Yeah.
Your terms.
Basically, you have to kind of go with what feels right to you. Now, we're certainly not suggesting you just become a selfish pig and you don't care about anybody else. No, it's not that at all. But it is not a wrong thing. And I know the community that we live in, this culture up here, it is very, very, very prevalent that women should never take time for themselves. That is very selfish. And you're leaving your family out. And, oh, my gosh, how dare you do? You're not a good wife or a good mother if you do that. Oh, yeah. I say bullshit on that one.
And we have a lot of recovering that clients. People are recovering from their trauma, but
again, that's the subconscious thinking that has been programmed.
You're raised that way. You don't do your nails, you don't do your hair, you don't need to worry about shopping. You'll get what you're given and be happy about it, kind of thing. Yeah, but there comes a point if you're in a relationship like this where if you're sensing that you're feeling burned out and you're constantly keeping your word, but that person that you're with is not keeping their word. It's just simple stuff like being on time, letting you know they're going to be there or not, or just whatever word they give you, that they're keeping their word. If that person is not keeping their word, that's when you have the autonomy and you have the freedom to say, I'm not satisfied in this. Now, but what if you're married with 5 kids and you don't have the autonomy to quit that? Meaning you don't have the money, you can't leave. Right. So now what? Well, now you're stuck. And so when I'm working with women, when we talk to our clients, it's kind of like, let's strategize this. Because if you just cut and run, you're going to put yourself in a difficult situation, which you don't want to do.
Right.
But when a relationship where 2 people agreed upon certain terms and that other person not keeping the terms with you, you have to renegotiate those terms or end it. And it may take years to end. I don't know.
Right. Yeah. But I love that you say the first thing, and this is always try
to start over with them.
Yeah. Certainly, y'all. Listen, if there's abuse going on, we're not saying that.
No.
That's a whole other category. But just with relationships in general, one of the things that Camille and I don't care what podcast we're talking about, what the subject is, it's always going back to communication. And nobody can read each other's minds. Mm-mm. And it's very possible that we have outgrown a thought.
Yeah.
Maybe something that served us when we first were married or when we first, became a parent or whatever that might be. Maybe that worked then. Maybe it doesn't work now. Camille and I were just laughing at pictures.
Yeah.
We've been doing podcasts together since 2017.
Crazy.
A different podcast. But what we thought was a really good program and how we looked and all that kind of stuff, we thought that was like, oh, that was the best.
Yeah.
We've changed, and that's not necessarily how we do things now. And I'm not saying you outgrow people and you're like, yeah, I'm done with you, husband, or I'm done with you, wife, and you move on.
Sometimes we do that.
But communication along the lines is, hopefully everybody's growing.
Yeah.
Hopefully everybody's at a place that's important to you to grow, right?
Yeah.
But when one is growing and the other one isn't, or you're growing in different directions, you have to have some sort
of reciprocity. Mm-hmm. You've got to have a reason to be together. I think there's like a triangle, and you've got to have communication, you've got to have affinity, meaning you want to be close to each other, and you have to have agreements, meaning you have to be able to agree on certain things. If you don't have a similar reality, there's no way you're going to have a relationship that moves forward. So there's things you have to have, or there is no relationship anyway. And I look at how we started out, and we were goofy and kind of fun. We were, a few years younger back then, and we thought we were.
Is that the excuse?
No,
because we act a whole lot more goofy now on back home.
We actually do. But I look at our subjects and everything, and we were just kind of like happy to be together, just happy to do whatever. We were funny. Now, I look at that how many years later, and we both went through. There was a lot of life we've lived since that, and just the experiences we've had, and our depth and our wisdom. I think we all get smarter as we get older. There's no doubting that.
Sure.
And so now we look at what we both had to go through many moments where we had to start over. And so when we were talking about let's start up again, but we want to do it in a way that really encapsulates what we've already gone through
and is helpful.
Yeah, contributing,
not
contribute
just
back.
Entertaining, but helpful. And
we can be both.
And I think that and let's say you've been in a marriage for a lot of years,
or business partnership,
I mean,
career. Yeah,
you don't leave family. I mean, you still have a mom and a dad if they're alive or whatever. But I'm just saying, I think there needs to be an inventory at some point where you do have that communication and you say, because people kind of come in and out of religion or come kind of in and out of their beliefs, and I don't think there's anything wrong with saying, I used to kind of think that way, but this is what resonates with me now, or this is what's important to me now, especially when you go through the time that you're young parents. Mm-hmm. And then, then you have a teenager and till you get to the place, then your kids are out of the house. My gosh, I hope you've changed.
Yeah.
I hope there's some things that have gotten better.
Evolved,
that you really need to make sure that your partner knows this is how I now feel about it, so that there's not some assumption of something that's going on that you don't have those feelings about.
I have this funny memory of a client saying to me, and he meant this very alpha traditional man, and they've been married 40 years, and they came in to do some work together, and she said, I don't even know how you feel about me now, because they have not stopped and renegotiated in new terms of their relationship, and is it working for us still, etc.
Right.
They were the generations you just work your routine, and
the woman just is quiet.
That's exactly
keep quiet.
And so she couldn't hold everything in anymore. And basically she said, well, how do you feel about me? He said, I told you I loved you. She said, that was 40 years ago. He said, well, if it changes, I'll let you know. So men, and this is stereotyping maybe, but I think men do maintain that for a longer period of time. But we women need a lot more nurturing or connection or affection or, not just, he told me that 40 years ago. I should just hang on that. We can't. We need current. It's like, what have you done for me lately kind of thing. But we need that, right?
Yo, you think about it. You cook a recipe, you got to add some seasoning.
Yeah.
Right? Or otherwise, it's just that broccoli is just going to be boring and old.
Right.
But, I think there are some men that, depending on generations and how they were raised, you don't share your feelings. You don't express your feelings. And so the one time in their life that they told you they loved you, they're like, ooh, okay, I'm done with that.
And they mean it. Check.
They do mean it. They do mean it. But as you mentioned a couple podcasts ago, the vocabulary for women and what is expressed every day versus men is completely different, which says our love language, our language in general, is a lot more. And so you want to get close to your partner, get off your phone, turn off your TV, and have a conversation eye to eye.
Yes.
Even if you're laughing and you're telling jokes, it doesn't matter.
Right.
It's that oneness. It's that closeness. It's bringing you into that sacred circle. That's so important because life gets busy.
Yeah.
And especially those that have children and you're just, this activity and this one. And it's rare that you get to sit and visit because you're worn out by the time that all of that is done at the end of your day. And
when you do that, like I insist for my couples when I coach them, go on a date night. At least one night a week, you're just you two, no kids, no friends, just you guys. But have meaningful conversations, not fighting. Because if you're fighting, what good was that? You want to have some disclosing conversations. I actually just put together a list of questions, and I don't have it with me now, but I'll bring it.
Okay.
And it's questions to ask your longtime spouse, partner, friend, to really start renewing who they are for you. We tend to see people as on repeat. It's like, oh, I know who they are. I know how that is. I know what they're going to say.
Been with them a long time.
Yeah, automatic pilot thing. And I think what some affairs are about are getting attention seeking. And a lot of girls are online posting their pictures and stuff for the attention is because they're not getting some of that at home. I'm not, maybe not, but. And a man can't compete with that, by the way, when you get all this attention from other guys on the internet. Even if it's not sexual, you're still getting attention. But if you're not getting your partner to look into your eyes and connect with you, it's that connection feeling and that disclosure and that vulnerability and that love exchanging. You're not feeling close to your partner.
No.
So it can't just be surface talk. It's got to be deep.
We talked about this last week when we were talking about sex being withheld
Yeah.
or sabotaged in relationships and so forth. And we talked about the word intimacy. And I think sometimes people think that intimacy is only about sexual acts. But really, if you get into it, and I even think from a religious point of view, the intimacy is not. It's the connection, soul to soul. And that can't be nurtured unless you spend some time.
Yeah.
That you have moments where you are physically touching,
connected.
you're close, you're hugging, you're looking in someone's eye. You know, even just like our friendship, we spend at least probably 3 hours a
3
week
to 5 hours. Yeah.
that we are
Talking.
just talking to each other.
About
Listening,
ourselves. Yeah, listen, exactly.
talking, listening, talking. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so that keeps us close because we are investing in that time.
That's right. That's right.
And if you have a partner that's like, I don't like to talk, or I'm not comfortable doing that, come see Camille.
That's right. Come, but call us.
Or
over.
call me.
We'll come on over.
Something.
We'll be over.
Because I'm sorry, that's part of being a human.
Yeah.
That's not an excuse. Yeah. That's part of being a human. And when you make that commitment to have a relationship or be a parent or whatever that is, you are obligated to communicate.
Yes.
In a nice and healthy way.
And I always say, into me you see. So that's what into me is. It can be physical, but it can also be into me you see. Like I'm letting you see me.
Right.
Sharing heart, sharing emotion. And I've got families that I do go to their houses. And I'll say, okay, let's start talking. What is it you haven't shared with your parents for a while? Oh, and I make it funny, but I have everybody go around and just, what's your state of mind? What's your mood set? What's your mindset? Where do you feel stuck? And you got to say something meaningful and real, not just goofy, because I'm not getting off you till you do. So making people really disclose where they're really at emotionally. And I can't tell you how love just starts flowing when people just tell the truth. Whatever they're holding back, whenever they didn't have a chance to say, or what they're mad at, let's get that out. Let's clear that out. Right. And that into me you see moment is so powerful.
I think that just kind of comes down to just a basic need of being heard, loved, appreciated, seen. And, I know that my kids always make fun of me, but we used to do this tradition. I had these little clips that went on the plates at Thanksgiving, and it held a candle, and everybody went around and they said something they were thankful for. Well, by the time, I don't depend on how big your family is, your turkey's got wax on it or something like that.
You got a big family.
But my kids were always like, oh, we got to do that. But you know what? There is something very special about taking the time, even if it's in a text. I know that with Aaron, sometimes we'll be like, okay, random 5 things I love about Aaron, or 5 things I love about Gretchen. And it just gives you a moment where you're like, I want you to know how I feel about you. I want you to know that you matter, Yes. I want you to know that despite being busy, I'm still thinking of you, and I still value you.
And I think, when I've got couples, I think about you all the time. I do love you. But when you are thinking that loving moment, reach out, send a message. We can send anything at any second. We are all tied to our phones, okay?
Yes, it doesn't have to be big.
No, and don't withhold that love. Don't be like, oh, I'll tell her later. Tell her now. Just say, I know you can't talk, but I just love you. Or I'm thinking about you. Whatever. Those little moments, for us, we're crock pots, That turns us on all day long.
Right.
So, and then we want to be close to you when you get home, right?
And you know what? That actually, guys, just FYI, because I think it happens probably more for men than women.
Yes.
But, if she hasn't heard from that side of you all day, chances are in her mind, she's thinking of things that haven't even happened. And she's doubting and wondering and worrying. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, she may get a message, or you may speak something that says, I miss you, or I'm thinking about you.
Yeah.
Everything is gone.
Yeah, reassurance right there.
Completely gone. It's that simple. It doesn't have to be some big dramatic thing. It's just that simple.
That's right.
And, I know we've joked about this too, but be very aware of your compliments, and there's a motive. If there's a motive, why? Because, I know I was in a relationship years ago, and this person decided that I'm going to give Gretchen 10 compliments a day. Well, all of a sudden I figured out those 10 compliments were because he wanted something.
later at night. Yeah.
And so it became a checklist. I don't want to be anybody's checklist.
No, it's got to feel authentic.
Right? And so...
Or not, I'm going to give to get. Yeah, I'm going to give to get. That's what that is. Yeah.
And maybe in the beginning it was maybe with pure intent. I'm not really sure.
Sure.
But it certainly didn't land that well.
Not when you
as
figured that
time
out.
went on, and it was just like, you know what? You know, when it came down to like, well, I like your toenail polish. No, you don't. Yeah. You don't even know that I even have it on. You know, it was just like, I got to hurry up and say things because my Franklin planner says that I need to have 10 things that I need to do in order to get that goal or whatever that might be.
Yeah. Emotional deposits. I remember those planner. Yeah, it's emotional deposit. But it can occur manipulative too. Sure. See, and this genuine, authentic connection, that's what it really is about, is just taking the time. People don't care what you know until they know how much you care.
Yes, and so that's beautiful.
And so if you prove that you care, again, just by reaching out or just being kind, you know.
Yeah.
Everyone's going through something. There's so much going on. So just reach out, be kind, and take care of yourself and take care of other people. And if something's not working out, again, first thing is, let's start over. Can we start over?
Start over. Absolutely. We appreciate you being here. We will see you next week, and have a great week, everybody. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.